Chapter 16. I left the bathroom feeling uncertain about the future. It was strange how fate had its funny little ways of bringing a sprinkle of chaos into our lives. It was almost natural that everyone at some point in their lives should encounter some type of trouble. It was only last year during exam time that I came down with flu and was forced to sit through 3 exams in a drugged haze. I knew something bad was going to happen in my final year. I just never imagined that it would have been vampires. Caspar, my estranged vampire prince psychopath husband, was throwing a tantrum over my relationship with Leo. Admittedly, I flirted with Leo to upset Caspar, but I never calculated that little my dalliances with Leo would inadvertently place Leo in mortal danger. My conversation with Henrietta had revealed the depth and danger of Caspar's personality. He was a vampire with a terrible gift capable of great destruction when provoked. In short, Caspar was a giant metaphoric hornet's nest waiting to swarm, and I was the stupid, naive girl who had approached that hornet's nest with a large stick and given it a good poke. Miserably, I knew what I had to do. I would have to find Leo and tell him that I could not be his date to the party, and furthermore, I would have to tell him that I could never see or speak to him again, and goodness knows how I was going to accomplish that without coming across as a complete and utter bitch. I guess the one small mercy of this whole fiasco was that I knew exactly where to find Leo. Just like every other college boy with a fitness complex, he would be down at the campus gym lifting weights and drinking protein shakes. So I headed eastward towards the campus gym, traveling at a snail's pace in a meager attempt to delay the inevitable. When it came to people, I was nothing like Olivia McAdam, who could be so careless when it came to others' feelings. I could never hurt someone like she could, and it made me sick to my stomach that I was going to hurt Leo in order to save. Quietly, I cursed Caspar under my breath, and then I cursed all vampires for dragging me into this circus. There had to be a way for me to break free. The gym appeared into view, and my heart sunk in my chest when I saw Leo lingering outside the front of the gym with his friends. Leo must have mentioned something about me to his friends because one of his friends recognized me and gently elbowed Leo in the side to point me out. Leo's face lit up the moment he saw me. He broke away from his friends and jogged towards me. A massive grin burst across his face, and as he moved closer to me, his arms lifted upwards, indicating that he was going in for the hug. A cold chill shivered down my spine, and a dark voice echoed, threatening words into my head. "Do not let that boy touch you. I will not tolerate others touching what is rightfully mine." I should have been scared of Caspar's threats, but the minute he claimed ownership over me, something inside me snapped. Waspishly, I retorted, "Ugh, stop being so Victorian, Caspar, and go away." I turned my attention back to Leo. He was moving towards me in what felt like slow motion with his arms wide opened. Closing my eyes, I took a mental breath and psyched myself up for what I was about to do next. Then with eyes wide opened, I lifted my hand out and said, "Leo, please do not touch me." Leo immediately faltered to a stop before me and watched in hurt as I moved a couple of steps backwards away from him. He shook his head in disbelief and murmured, "Hazel, what the hell is the matter?" The confused look on his face destroyed me, and I struggled to keep up the pretense. Concentrating, I looked at Leo and said flatly, "I am sorry, Leo, but I cannot see you anymore." Behind us, Leo's friends had twigged on to the unfolding drama. They and a number of other students that were hanging around the gym suddenly fell quiet as they struggled to eavesdrop on our conversation. Leo stared at me as if I had gone mad. He walked towards me and in a low voice whispered, "Field, what the hell is wrong with you?" At first, I did not reply, but eventually I blurted out, "I am sorry, Leo. I wish I could explain, but please believe me, this is for the best." I tried to break away, but Leo grabbed my shoulder and forced me to turn and face him. Angrily, he demanded, "What are you holding back from me?" I opened my mouth to answer Leo, but noticed something or someone else had suddenly caught Leo's attention. "Miss Field," Caspar's voice rang out behind me, "once you have finished your business with this gentleman, I would like to see you in the library." I turned my head over my shoulder and saw Caspar a few feet behind me. Absent-mindedly, I replied, Okay." Caspar nodded and paused, glancing between me and Leo. "Do you need my help?" Caspar asked me, studying Leo's grip on my shoulder. His voice was unnervingly calm for someone who just moments ago felt like an emotional volcano on the edge of erupting. Calmly, I replied in my head, "Thank you, but I have a handle on this." "I shall meet you in the library then, Miss Field," Caspar announced, sparing Leo one final dark look before turning away towards the library. I watched him walk towards the library, and I couldn't help feeling surprised. I honestly thought Caspar would have blown up when he saw Leo's hand on my shoulder, but instead he was calm and totally not the asshole I expected him to be. "It's him, isn't it?" Leo said. "What?" I murmured, not really paying attention. "You little whore," Leo suddenly spat. "You have been playing me while screwing around with the sub-lecturer." I blinked in shock and spluttered, "What? No, you've got it all wrong." Leo laughed humorlessly. "I knew you were too good to be true." Chapter 17. The students hanging around the gym were talking about me. I could feel their eyes watching me, judging me. I hadn't moved from the spot where Leo had made a scene and stormed off moments earlier. Standing still, I tried to compose myself. But instead, I kept catching snippets of conversations from whispering students. I heard that sub-lecturer was searching for her the other day during that thunderstorm. I always wondered how she managed to get such good grades. Who knew that Hazel was such a skank? Did you hear what she did at the frat party? What an attention whore. With my vampire ears, I heard every word they said, and even though they were just words, every single sentence wounded me. Lowering my gaze to the floor, I quickly walked away in the direction of my dorm. Whatever Caspar had wanted to see me about in the library could wait. There was no way I was going in there to be gossiped about. Feeling my breath catching in my throat, I tried to control my anxiety. I walked calmly around the corner, and once I was away from the gym and library, I broke out into a run. My head was swimming in what the other students had said to me, and it forced me to run harder. I needed to get away from this craziness. Suddenly, I heard footsteps pounding up the tarmac behind me. Then suddenly, someone grabbed me from behind and knocked me sideways to the ground. I slammed into the grass and skidded a few feet before stopping. Crying, I scrambled onto my knees and saw Duke standing over me with his dark brown hair was combed back in a wet look that reminded me of Marlon Brando or James Dean back in the 50s. Duke looked angry and he yelled at me, "Have you lost your damn mind?" I stared up at him in confusion. Shaking his head at me, he snapped, "You cannot go running across the campus grounds in broad daylight at vampire speed." "What the hell were you thinking, Hazel?" I look up at him with giant eyes full of tears, and Henrietta's words unpleasantly echoed in my head. Duke was spying on me. Anything I said to him would be directly relayed back to Caspar. The tears running down my cheeks caused Duke's expression to soften. He let out an exasperated sigh and knelt down next to me and asked, "Why are you crying?" I shuffled away from him and got up onto my feet. Then with a shaky voice I replied, "It does not matter." Duke arched a cynical eyebrow and said, "When a woman tells me that it does not matter, then it really does matter." Duke's arrogance grated against me and I replied harshly, "Look, it is none of your damn business, Duke." "Well, that isn't very nice," Duke said distantly. "It kind of hurts my feelings." I didn't respond. Instead, I wiped the grass off my knees and began walking towards my dormitory with what little dignity I had left. This was turning into the second worst day of my life, the first being the day I was turned into a vampire. And before it got any worse, I decided to go back to my dorm bedroom, put on my pajamas, and hide under my quilt until the day had finally passed. "Are you going to tell me what put you in this delightful mood?" Duke asked, following me. "No," I said bluntly. "Then I will have to make an educated guess and say that it had something to do with that young man you were talking with outside the gym," Duke said. I stopped and faced Duke and asked, "How do you know that?" Duke awkwardly shifted and said, "Well, I kind of saw it from the rooftop across from the gym." "Oh God, you were spying on me," I replied. Duke shook his head. No, we were watching over you for your protection." "We?" I cried out. "Yes, Nico and me, and 10 other guards," Duke replied with a wince. In my head, I reimagined the scene between Leo and myself as a performance. There I was, center stage, with Leo friends watching us in the stalls, while Duke and the other vampires watched from their balcony box on the rooftop. Inwardly, I cringed. There was no way I was going to live this down with changing my name and appearance. Maybe I should head into town and go to the salon to get my hair color changed. I could even get a new haircut, or maybe even a tattoo. Duke's hand suddenly drifted across my face. Earth to Hazel. "What are you doing, Hazel?" Duke asked. "Nothing," I replied causally, "just having a slight mental breakdown." "Aw, come on, Hazel, it wasn't that bad," Duke smiled. "Most of these people do not even matter." You are a vampire, not a human, so it doesn't matter what a few of human gossips think about you. In a couple of weeks, you will never have to see them again. Although this did not make me feel any better, I appreciated Duke's effort. I suppose you are right, but I am really not happy about Nico, and you following me about with an entourage of royal guards, I said. Don't worry about it. The extra guards are only here because of Henrietta, and once the queen goes, the guards go. Then it is you, me, Nico, and Caspar, although Nico will probably end up guarding Caspar. So that leaves just you and me, Duke explained cheerfully. This news did not cheer me up. Henrietta was the only vampire I really trusted, and soon she would be leaving to go back to the vampire palace I had never even been, too. I think I liked Henrietta because she in many ways was just like me, a woman trapped by circumstance and doing her best to endeavor through it. I looked up at Duke and parroted his words. Just you and me. Duke smiled. Yeah, you and me. I mean, I get that I am not a girl, but I like to think of myself as a modern metrosexual man in touch with his feminine side. So, when you need a person to confide in, I am your boy. Really? I said skeptically. I can tell you are not convinced, Duke said. Totally not, I replied. Duke straightened himself up and said, watch. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small black electronic device. Flashing it in front of me, he said, this right here is GPS locator that every vampire has to wear so that Nico and Caspar can track us if they want to. Duke then took the GPS and flung it into large flower beds some distance away from us. He then grabbed my hand and said, there no one can follow us while we go and get ice cream. You are taking me for ice cream. Can vampires even eat ice cream? I replied. Ice cream has no nutritional value to us, but it still tastes freaking amazing, Duke said, pulling me down the path. Chapter 18. The ice cream parlor was in the center of town. It was a popular choice with college students who, after a difficult exam or essay, would choose to cheer themselves up by gorging on a wide variety of ice cream. During my first year, this was my favorite place, but I soon stopped coming here after I went up an entire dress size over my first exam period. Going back into the parlor brought back bittersweet memories of celebrating the completion of monster essays with a banana split sundae, and consoling myself with chocolate fudge sundae after a terrible exam. When Duke and I walked into the parlor, the young waitress behind the counter immediately recognized Duke and straightened herself up before rushing over to our table. She beamed familiarly at Duke and asked, "Would you like your usual?" Duke smiled politely back and said, "I would indeed." "Thank you, Cherry." The young waitress then glanced at me for my order, and I proceeded to ask for a small bowl of mint chocolate chip ice cream. The waitress scribbled down her order and left us. "You can eat whatever you want. Vampires do not put on weight," Duke said, leaning back in his seat. "I don't feel like eating much," I replied. "In fact, I am more interested in how you came to be so familiar with the staff of this establishment." Duke smiled. "I have a sweet tooth, or sweet fang, and this is the best ice cream parlor in the county. It even outshined Miss Tilly's ice cream store in Port Cress." "I have never heard of that store or that town," I said, which wasn't surprising considering I was not a native of this area. "No human has ever heard of that town. Port Cressida is a vampire city, if not the vampire city. It is the biggest vampire city in all of the Americas," Duke said excitedly. "There is a vampire city?" I asked. "Yeah, and you'll see it one day when you have become accustomed to the vampire way of life. Your future home, the Vampire Court, is only 3 miles southeast of the city," Duke said. The waitress Cherry suddenly appeared with a large plastic bib for Duke. He thanked the young waitress and clipped the bib around his neck. Moments later, the Cherry returned with a small, modest bowl of mint chocolate chip ice cream, and then disappeared only to return 10 seconds later carrying what I can only describe as a bucket of ice cream for Duke. Cherry heaved the ice cream onto the table with a grunt and left us. Duke stared down at the ice cream and said, 8 different flavors, covered in whipped cream, chocolate sauce, marshmallows, sprinkles, and nuts. Heaven. "How often do you come here?" I asked, astonished. "Twice a week," Duke said, digging his spoon into the vat of ice cream. "And that is what you normally have?" I said. "Stop judging me. I told you I had a sweet fang," Duke snapped and changed the subject. "So," he said smoothly, "how are things going with the Prince of Darkness? Just peachy, I replied, taking a bite of my ice cream. Duke paused and said, Then why do I get the feeling you are lying to me? I shrugged and placed another scoop of ice cream in my mouth. There was no way I was pouring my heart out to Duke, so he could go and filter everything I had said back to Caspar. This made me determined to put up a stone wall of distant stability between us. So, as Duke continued to ask probing questions into the nature of my feelings towards Caspar, I casually brushed each question off with cool indifference. We barely know each other, so it is hard to tell how I feel about someone who is a virtual stranger, I told Duke. But he is your mate Hazel. You must feel some kind of chemistry, Duke said. Maybe, I replied. The bell above the ice cream parlor door rang as someone entered the store. Duke immediately straightened up, and I turned to see who had entered. Gliding gracefully across the store floor, Henrietta walked towards us with a pleasant smile. Hello, Hazel. Hello, Duke, she said, acknowledging each of us individually. Duke stood up on ceremony until she slid into the chair next to me and continued talking. I was out for a stroll with my guards when I saw you in the window, and I thought to myself I could not possibly walk past without saying hello. Duke seemed unimpressed by Henrietta's appearance, but politely asked her if she would like to order some ice cream from the menu. Henrietta shook her head and replied, Thank you, but I have never developed a palate for human food. Silence fell across the table. Henrietta sat next to me upright and eager, while Duke had suddenly become off and withdrawn. I quickly stumbled for something to say and came out with, Duke was telling me about Port Crest, the city. He said it was the largest in the Americas. Henrietta's smile widened even further, and I was practically blinded by the whiteness of her smile. Port Cressida is a wonderful city, and I cannot wait for us to be able to go shopping together. The malls there are fabulous, and the city itself is breathtaking, she said. I cannot wait to go, I replied. Well, Duke could always take you, Henrietta suggested. Duke shook his head. No way, Caspar would kill me. Only if he found out, Henrietta smiled. Which he would because Caspar is a telepath. Hazel has not developed the skills to keep him out of her head, Duke said. Suddenly my interest was piqued, and I looked at both of them and said, Wait, I can keep Caspar out of my head? Henrietta nodded. There are ways to put up mental barriers to stop telepaths from rummaging about in our minds. I want to learn how I can block him out, I said. Chapter 19. I came away from the ice cream parlor with a renewed sense of purpose. Henrietta had revealed to me that there was a way to block Caspar from my mind, and if I could block him out, then I might be able to escape the fate that he had planned for me. I walked back to my dorm hall with Duke, who was unusually somber. He spoke little about our planned secret trip to Port Cressida and advised me not to think too much about it until Henrietta had taught me the mind block. Frustrated by his lack of enthusiasm, I asked him, Why are you so against this Duke? Duke slowed and replied, I just think this is a bad idea. Will you tell Caspar? I questioned. Duke bowed his head and said, No. When I said that I would be your friend, I meant it, even if it means going against his royal pain in the ass. I bumped my shoulder affectionately against his and said with a smile, Thank you. Duke looked down at me and stilled. For that smile, maybe the hell which will inevitably follow will be worth it, he said. We arrived at my dorm hall shortly after the sun had set. The setting of the sun had become a mixed blessing. I enjoyed not having to deal with the punishing glare of natural sunlight, but I did not enjoy the migraine-inducing glare of fluorescent strip lights that filled the campus buildings with light after dark. I looked up at the building and felt sick. I knew that I would have to walk through the communal area and up several flights of stairs before I got to my bedroom. The thought of having to face the students who had seen Leo call me a dirty whore filled me with cold anxiety. Duke hovered several feet from the entrance of the hall. His head turned away from the glass doors and the bright lights that shone through them. Looking to me, he asked, Do you need me to walk you to your room? I shook my head. No, I got this, I said quickly. I did not want Duke walking me to my bedroom. Goodness only knows what people would say if they saw me with another man who was not Leo or Caspar. Duke leaned in and gave me a quick hug. I promise you, Hazel, things will get better, he whispered in my ear. I thanked him and walked into the foyer of my dorm hall. It was early evening and students were filtering back into the dormitories from their lectures. After today's dramatic events, I did my best to keep my head down and keep moving. As I was jogging up several flights of stairs, something happened. A voice called out to me. So is it true? Olivia McAdams echoed up the stairwell. I stopped dead and turned to face Olivia and her groupies staring up at me from the flight of stairs below. They must have been waiting for me on this level to rub salt into the wound. I felt my heart sink as I realized that I would have to face them. I don't know what you are talking about. I shrugged, half hoping they would drop the subject. Olivia smirked and said, Leo has been telling everyone about your little secret to academic success. Leo is delusional, I replied flatly. Oh, I would not call Leo delusional. We have all noticed the way that stand-in tutor looks at you, she replied. Then you are imagining things, I said. So the entire college campus is under one mass delusion? Olivia inquired skeptically. Small minds have a tendency to believe in tittle-tattle and create drama out of thin air, I retorted. Olivia's eyes hardened and a cruel smile spread across her face. Her friends behind her began to whisper excitedly and watched in glee as Olivia dropped a bombshell on me. Chapter 20. I sink to the bathroom floor in a state of complete mental collapse. Images of Olivia Macadam and Leo telling the college board about my relationship with Caspar flooded my mind. I could see the college dean shaking his head and informing me that my studies at the college were suspended and I would have to seek a college transfer elsewhere. Hazel, calm down, Caspar said calmly from behind the door. You don't understand, I sobbed. How could he? Caspar was a prince, a vampire prince who had no idea what it was like to be human. Caspar had been brought up in a strange world where it was acceptable to abduct a woman from a graveyard because they stood under some special tree and force her to be his bride. Caspar knew nothing about romance or courtship. He did not even know how to treat me like a decent human being. Go away, I cried as he began to shake the door more violently. Come on, Hazel, open the door, Caspar said. When I refused, Caspar calmly asserted with a dark voice, Hazel, open the goddamn door before I break it down. Fine, break it down. I'm not opening it, I snapped. The bathroom door jumped on its hinges as Caspar's fist slammed against the door. I flinched nervously and began to push my body away from the door. Hazel, I'm gonna count to 3, then I coming in, Caspar growled. Please just leave me alone, I cried. 1, Caspar's voice threatened. I stared at the locked bathroom door and realized that Caspar was serious when he said he was really going to smash down my bathroom door. Crap, I thought. If he destroys my door, then I lose my deposit. 2, Caspar continued to count. I jumped to my feet to rush over to the door, but then realized that I am too late as Caspar yells, 3. I stumble away from the door to avoid being caught in the debris of splintered wood. As I step backwards, the bathroom light unexpectedly cuts out, plunging me into darkness. I close my eyes and wait for the sound of breaking door, but instead, her silence. For a few seconds, I wait anxiously in the blackness, expecting something to happen, but when nothing does happen, I call to Caspar. Caspar, I called softly. Caspar, are you there? I shuffled a few steps forward, reaching for the bathroom door, but found myself grasping at thin air. This wasn't right. My bathroom door was only a foot in front of me. It couldn't have just disappeared. So I turned to the side to see if I could feel the bathroom counter or sink. Lifting my hands out, I felt nothing. It was as if I was no longer in the bathroom. Caspar, I yelled out again. Still, there was nothing but an unsettling silence. Caspar, goddammit, I whispered, taking a few uneasy steps forward. My breath caught in my throat, and I could literally hear my own heart hammering in my chest. Where the hell was I? What had happened? I moved forward and stopped suddenly. Behind me, I could something like a shuffling sound. Turning slowly around, I muttered, Caspar? A long, drawn-out, rattling breath suddenly cut through the silence. Fear paralyzed me and stood frozen to the spot. There was someone else in this place with me. I stood completely still and listened carefully. Somewhere in the distance was a sound I couldn't quite make out. It was high-pitched and muffled and radiated a kind of terrible sadness. I watched forward, straining to hear better. There was a woman, and she was sobbing. Hello, I called out to her. Are you okay? It seemed like a redundant question to ask a crying woman, but it was the only way to start a dialogue. The crying stopped, and then I heard a feminine voice whisper, Hazel, is that you? I opened my mouth to speak, but sound and light exploded through my head. And in that split second, I had gone from being a place of endless darkness to being back in the familiar surroundings of my bathroom. I was collapsed over the bathroom sink with half my toiletries scattered across the bathroom floor. The bathroom door was hanging off of its hinges, and Caspar was stood in the doorway, his eyes wide with fear and worry. Shockily, I tried to push myself up from the bathroom sink, but ended up falling down onto the bathroom floor. I could not explain it, but I felt physically drained, like something or someone had sucked all the energy out of me. Caspar swore under his breath and rushed to my side. "Hazel, what is the matter?" he asked. His voice was full of concern and worry. I looked up at him and felt very sleepy, and registered that my brain no longer wanted to work. With a tired yawn, I replied, "I don't know." Caspar pulled out his cell phone and rang somebody. I watched him talking to the person, but I could not make sense of what he was saying. He then finished the conversation and snapped his phone shut, placing it in his back pocket. Disappearing into my bedroom, Caspar returned later with a blanket from my bed. Carefully, he wrapped me up in the blanket and gathered me up in his arms. The heat from his chest radiated through the blanket, soothing me. I snuggled against his chest and asked sleepily, "Where are you taking me?" "Somewhere safe," he replied. "I am safe here," I said. Caspar made a gentle shushing sound and pressed a kiss against my forehead. "Go to sleep, Hazel. I will take care of you now." "You can't. If we get caught," I mumbled into his chest. "We won't get caught, I promise you," he reassured me. I wanted to argue the case further, but felt my conscience slipping away from me. Rubbing my cheek against Caspar's shirt, I began to fall into a dark, dreamless sleep.